but hi, I'm Elliott. For my second video, I wanted to talk about how I knew that I was transgender. This was what I pretty much first put into YouTube when I was really questioning. So YouTube helped me so much, and the people who shared their stories, and I learned about how diverse everyone's experience was. Like, all of those videos really opened up my mind and allowed me to reflect on my own narrative. And so if my story can help somebody, like, I feel like I should share it. So for me personally, I started having really big questioning moments when I was 23, around January. And I'm still 23, but just as a reference point, if you're watching this when I'm not 23. I moved to Colorado in September, and I was dating this girl who was really involved in the queer community, and that was something that I've never really experienced before. I never really dated, I mostly dated straight women, so if that gives you any frame of reference. So through her, I met some female to male transgender folk, and I was really fascinated with them in my own head, I guess. I felt like I could relate to in some odd way. So I started going home and looking into what it meant to be transgender. Now that's one avenue. At the same time, since college, I was trying to explore what my gender expression was, like what felt most comfortable for me. And it was getting slowly more and more androgynous. And around the same time was when it started getting pretty masculine. And I was like wearing boxer briefs and stuff like that. And I had this moment of realization where I thought, the way that I want to look, the way that I present myself, the things that I'm most comfortable with, they are not, this isn't normal. This isn't like a thing that most women go through. So at the same time, it was like two different journeys that sort of collided into each other at the same time, and it just reached this culminating point of pretty much complete self-destruction on my part. And so that's when I started looking into it. I was watching transition videos, and I felt so much envy, and I could relate so much. And these stories, like, suddenly things that were happening to me in my childhood that made me feel different, suddenly it all made sense. And I remember in college, I took a psych course, and that was back when gender identity disorder was still in the DSM, and I did a research paper on it, and I was like, as a child, this was me, to the T. I have almost every single one of the characteristics of this, and I just figured, well, I was part of the majority where you just grow out of it as you go through adolescence and stuff. But in actuality, I had just suppressed this idea of gender for a very long time. I said that anything that didn't fit in, anything that didn't make sense, any discomfort that I had, I didn't blame it on not identifying with my gender. I just blamed it on me being me. I just figured I'm weird, and that was a good enough answer for me. But one of the biggest things that really clicked for me was the fact that calling myself a lesbian never felt right. It felt very, very strange to me. I didn't like the word, I didn't mind it for other people, but it just wasn't my identity. And I didn't get it, because on paper I was like, I'm a woman, I like women. I don't get it. Why does this make me feel uncomfortable? But it did. It made me feel really uncomfortable. And then, so that made sense all of a sudden. The fact that I found this, I was like looking into FTM, trans stuff, and that identity felt better for me. And so that was one aspect of it. And then at the same time, I don't know why it took me so long, but I think because I was just grew up around the same friends since I was like 7. I never thought of my friends looking at me in a gendered way. They just saw me for me. And then I think moving to Denver and making new friends, and a lot of it being gendered, a lot of my friends being women, and everything we do being considered like ladies' night or girls' night out, stuff like that, and me feeling super uncomfortable, I had this realization that I am being lumped in as a woman, and people are looking at me and identifying me as a female-bodied person, and I don't feel that way. This makes me actively uncomfortable. And then that was another big moment where I just thought, that's not a thing. People who are comfortable with their own gender don't feel this way about it. They don't get uncomfortable when people call them a woman. And then I just called myself a woman. I remember I said it out loud, and I got this huge pit in my stomach, and I felt nauseous, and I didn't like it. And so all of those things made me start to really question it. But I also had all this self-doubt, I thought, this happens to one in 30,000 people or something like that. What are the chances of this really being me? And I thought, if I was happy before I realized this, then it can't be real, right? I had to have been miserable this entire time. And it's not that I wasn't. I was happy, but there were just these blaring moments of discomfort. And all of a sudden, I had a reasoning for those. And I think it was coming to terms with that. I guess that's really it. So, getting over a lot of self-doubt, self-shame. That took therapy. I'm glad I went to therapy for that. So, there's my story. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And I'm gonna go now before it rains. See you later. Bye.